lọ́bẹ̀ àjànàkú kọjá mo rí nǹkan fìrí tá a bá rẹ́rìn ká sọ pé arẹ́rìn. Solocard Multiventures Limited ilé ọ̀rẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ni mò ń sọ níbi káta ojúlówó kẹ́míkà àti fataláísà tí kìí ṣe yèèpẹ̀. ọ̀rẹ́ mi sọnù kí o mọ̀ bá sọnù.
Ìwé kíkọ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè. Ìwé kíkọ láìsí ọkọ́ àti àdá kò ì pẹ́ o, kò ì pẹ́ o. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ níṣẹ́ ilẹ̀ wa, ẹni kò ṣiṣẹ́ á máa jalè.
Ẹ̀yin káàbọ̀ sórí ètò wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ti mọ ètò wa lánàá tí ò ń ṣe ní ètò ọ̀rọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ní èyí tá a máa mú wá sí tìgbọ̀yìn lọ́sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ lórí nǹkan tó ń ṣe lóko bá ti lè ṣe iṣẹ́ oko lọ́jọ́ bá ti lè ṣe dáadáa. Lóòótọ́ ni pé àwa kan ti ń dáko káwa kan tó dáyé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni and irú àwa báyìí ọmọ kékeré la jẹ́ lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ oko ṣùgbọ́n ètò tá a mú wá fún yín ni pé kí ni àwọn nǹkan tá à ń ṣe lóko ní ìsìn tó yàtọ̀ sí tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ tó fi ń fún wa lérè tabua ní ìsìn ju tìgbà yẹn lọ. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ gbà ní àwọn tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ wọ́n máa ń wo iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ bí iṣẹ́ tálíkà, iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ bí iṣẹ́ tí ò rí nǹkan ṣe. Ṣùgbọ́n lóde òní iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ti di iṣẹ́ tí a gbọ́dọ̀ mú lọ́kùnkúndùn nítorí pé èrè tó ń bẹ nídìí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ó ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ. Lọ́pọ̀ ọgbà ni òye àwọn èèyàn a dẹ̀ ti mọ̀ pé òye ni òye àwọn èèyàn tó bẹ́ẹ̀ gẹ́ láti lè rérè gidi lórí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ torí ẹ̀ ni wọ́n ṣe ń rò pé iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ò lérè lórí. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹni tó bá lè mú iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ dáadáa tó bá ṣe bó ti yẹ kó ṣe lóde òní èrè tó máa rí lórí ẹ̀ ojúṣe téèyàn ló máa ṣe ní kéèyàn máa dé táì kéèyàn máa lọ sọ́fíìsì lọ. Mi ní kẹ́ má lọ sọ́fíìsì o, mi dẹ̀ ní kẹ́ má dé táì. Kódà èmi gan fúnra mi bóyá ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí àgbẹ̀ ni mí ṣùgbọ́n mo fẹ́ràn láti máa dé táì lẹ́bí Sunday tí máa lọ church. Kódà tẹ́ bá pàdé mi ẹ̀dẹ̀ kó mo dóko rí. Ṣùgbọ́n iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ iṣẹ́ téèyàn lè mú dáadáa tó dẹ̀ máa rí èrè gidi lórí ẹ̀. Ní ìdí ni pé a ti rí i pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa wọn ò ní òye lórí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yìí dáadáa ní ìsìn. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ló ń gbin àgbàdo, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ló ń gbin ẹ̀gẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ìbéèrè ibẹ̀ ni pé kí ni èrè tí wọ́n ń rí lórí ẹ̀? Ṣé èrè tí wọ́n ń rí lórí ẹ̀ yẹn ni ó jọjú àbí kò jọjú àbọ̀ kàn ṣe wàhálà lásán ni? Tẹ́ bá rọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ tó bá gbin àgbàdo ó lè lóun gbin àgbàdo éka 5, òun gbin àgbàdo éka 10 tó bá máa padà ta tán tó bá ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀tọ́ nísìnyí ó lè lérò tó ń rí bẹ́ẹ̀ gan kò káwó kẹ́míkà tó ń rà bí nǹkan kan kí ló tó ṣe rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Òye ò tí ì yá àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa dé level kan tó yẹ pé tó bá ń ṣe iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yìí tó bá mú èso nǹkan yẹn kan péré tí wọ́n gbìn bó ṣe àgbàdo bó ṣe ẹ̀gẹ́ tó ń bá ṣe tó ṣe kí wọ́n ṣe ṣe èrè tí wọ́n á rí lórí ẹ̀ máa yà wọ́n lẹ́nu. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀rọ̀ àgbàdo ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ gba ni wọ́n ti ṣe sẹ́mínà lóríṣiríṣi táwa náà ti lọ ta ti ṣe sẹ́mínà fáwọn ẹlòmíì pé lórí àgbàdo hectare kan o that's acre 2.5 ẹ lè rí 5 tons 6 tons at least 4 tons níbẹ̀. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ló máa ń sọ tá a ṣe sẹ́mínà bí wọ́n ní irọ́ ni o wọ́n kàn ń purọ́ fún wa ni wọn ò lè rí bọ́ kò purọ́ fún yín ẹ lè rí àwa náà ti ṣe dáadáa àti rí tá a bá ṣe rí ni àníṣe pé lè rí. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sẹ́mínà ni wọ́n ti ṣe táwọn àgbẹ̀ ti lọ kódà tá a bá dáhùn bòmí gan a lọ sẹ́mínà kan ní bẹ́ẹ̀ báyìí a lọ sẹ́mínà kan ní bẹ́ẹ̀ báyìí tẹ́ ládùú sẹ́mínà tẹ́ ti lọ yẹn kí wá ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́ ẹ̀ fi rí èrè oko dáadáa tẹ́ pé nǹkan tẹ́yìn tẹ́lẹ̀ nù lẹ̀ ṣì ń rí ó túmọ̀ sí pé ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ tó ń fún níbi sẹ́mínà tẹ́ lọ yẹn ẹ̀ mú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yẹn lò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti mú ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yẹn lò ó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ rí èrè tabua lórí iṣẹ́ oko yín. Ara nǹkan tí Solocard rí lè la ṣe wò pé báwo la ṣe lè máa báwọn àgbẹ̀ wa sọ̀rọ̀ lóòrèkóòrè bá a ṣe máa fi tó wọn létí nǹkan tí wọ́n lè ṣe yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan tó ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀, báwo la ṣe lè máa bá wa gbé wa sọ̀rọ̀ táwọn lè máa bá wa sọ̀rọ̀, káwa lè máa fi kíni ìmọ̀ àti ọgbọ́n táwa ti rí nínú iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ yìí bó ṣe kékeré táwa náà ní káwa náà fi fáwọn náà káwọn náà lọ múlò. Nípa àwa la mọ̀ ọgbọ́n ju o, àwa náà ń gbìyànjú tiwa ni, ṣùgbọ́n a fẹ́ jẹ́ kí wọ́n yé wọn pé kékeré táwa fi ta àrùpá àmọ́ yẹn a ti gbìyànjú ẹ̀ wò, ó dẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ fún wa dáadáa, a fẹ́ kẹ́yìn náà lọ gbìyànjú ẹ̀ wò, nítorí pé tẹ́yìn náà bá gbìyànjú tó bá ṣe dáadáa fún yín náà ẹ̀ tún lè ṣe ju tàtẹ̀yìnwá lọ, then nǹkan oko á túbọ̀ ṣe kíni á túbọ̀ pọ̀ káàkiri, ààrẹ yẹ kó ṣe kíni kó múnú àgbẹ̀ dùn. Àwa tá à ń ta nǹkan tẹ́yìn lò lóko náà ó máa yẹ ká ṣe kíni, ó máa yẹ ká lè kíni tiwa náà dùn ká lè ta fún yín dáadáa ju àtẹ̀yìnwá lọ, because ẹ rí pé nǹkan táwọn àgbẹ̀ ń rà lọ́wọ́ wa wọ́n ń rí múlò, ó dẹ̀ ṣe kíni ó dẹ̀ ṣe wọ́n láǹfààní, torí ẹ̀ la ṣe gbé ètò yìí kalẹ̀. Ẹ ṣeun gan tẹ́ ẹ̀ fọkàn bá wa lọ, tẹ́ ẹ̀ dẹ̀ máa wá lọ́sẹ̀ẹ̀sẹ̀, Ọlọ́run dẹ̀ máa ṣe jẹ́ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń wá ẹ̀ máa rere bẹ́ẹ̀, àwa náà ńkọ́ àwa máa rere ibi tiwa náà. Ẹ ṣeun gan. Orúkọ tèmi ni Mark Olúwafẹ́mi fún Solocard Multiventures Limited. Ọ̀rọ̀ àgbẹ̀lẹ̀tò yìí tá a mú aṣẹ́ ti gbòyìn lẹ́ni ọ̀tọ̀ nìkan tá a ti máa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bá ti máa sọ lórí ètò yìí, àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lóko tá a bá ti lọ lọ́sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ tá a bá ti wá sórí ètò yìí, tá a bá ti kúrò lórí ètò yìí, àwa náà ń gba oko lọ ní àkọ́jókòó kalẹ̀ sí ìgboro, à ń rin inú oko káàkiri ní igun lóríṣiríṣi, a lọ ń yẹ oko àwọn èèyàn wò. Àwọn ẹlòmíì wà tẹ́pẹ́ pọ̀ ẹ̀jọ̀ wá yẹ kó wá wẹ̀ wá wo nǹkan tó ń ṣe kí la lè ṣe sí. Lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá tá a sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn nǹkan tá a ní láti mọ̀ nípa nǹkan oko, tá a sọ̀rọ̀ pé kí bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ dáko àgbàdo àgbàdo tó yẹ kẹ́ ní lóko lélẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe lè gbin lélẹ̀, iye àlàfo tó yẹ kó wà láàrin ẹ̀ lélẹ̀, tẹ́ bá gbin ẹ̀gẹ́ náà àlàfo tó yẹ kó wà láàrin ẹ̀gẹ́ yẹn lélẹ̀, nǹkan tó yẹ kẹ́ ṣe lélẹ̀, gbogbo yẹn náà là á ṣe kí ni là ń mú wá sí tìgbọ̀yìn la fẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n a ti wá lọ sínú oko, a lọ yẹ àwọn oko kan wò kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ gan lóko, a lọ sóko tìmá, a lọ sóko ata, a lọ sóko àgbàdo, kódà àdóko ẹ̀gẹ́, àdóko kùkúmbà, àdóko àwọn kan tó ṣẹ̀ gbé soya beans, gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn la lọ káàkiri kí wọ́n la mú bọ̀ látòkò yẹn. Òun la fẹ́ fi títí gbòyìn lẹ́nu àwọn ìpèníjà tí àwọn àgbẹ̀ ń rí lóko, onìkan tá a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú lẹ́nu. Tá a bá sọ lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì, these are the challenges táwọn farmers face lóko wọn. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ ló ń ní ìpèníjà ní irú àkókò tá a wà yìí, torí pé kí ni tá a bá wò lọ tá a bá wò bọ̀, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àgbẹ̀ tó ń gbin tòmátò, tó ń gbin ata, tó ń gbin gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, òjò ń rọ̀ lọ́pọ̀ àwọn àgbẹ̀ àwọn oko tá a lọ lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá yìí, omi yẹn ti pọ̀jù tó yẹ pé wọn ò tiẹ̀ fẹ́ lè rí ọ̀nà wọnú oko wọn, tó dẹ̀ ń dá wa lálẹ́ fún ọ lóko gidigidi. Nígbà tá a débẹ̀ a rí i pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn oko yìí lomi ti bàjẹ́. Àwọn adóko kan tìmá ni wọ́n gbìn sóko yẹn, tẹ́ ẹ bá dé inú oko yẹn káì ẹ̀yin gan ẹ̀rọ lẹ́ẹ̀mejì, nítorí pé òjò yẹn ti pọ̀jù, tìmá yẹn ti wá ń ṣubú, àwọn tìmá yẹn ti ń jẹrà. Ṣé ẹ get me? So màá sọ lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. The tomato farm we visited over the week, we realized the fact that the tomato farm was drenched in water because the rainfall intensity in that environment was too much that it was affecting the plant. As such, the plant was staked, but we realized the fact that the rain was too much, so most of the stakes fell. Now the whole tomato plants were on the ground, and as such, because of the too much water, the tomato were deteriorating. This is a challenge. Now the farmer was asking, what can he do? Now, first of all, there is nothing you can do to withstand or to reduce or to prevent the rain from falling on your farm because you have tomato on your farm. There's nothing. So many persons might have tried before that they want to stop rain, as we usually know. Like I said, because an event is going on, they want to stop rain or whatever like that. I don't think there's anything of such. If you want to stop rain, you can go ahead and try. Except God does not want the rain to fall. That's just it. So when you have such on your farm, what we want to, like the farm we visited, we told them, well, there's nothing much you can really do, but if you can have at least a 24 hours sunlight, it will help the plants to rejuvenate. Then you do your staking. You have to redo your staking because there's nothing you can do. Once the staking has fallen, you have to raise the staking up and prevent the plant from getting to the ground. Because as such, when the plant was going on the ground, after the rainfall, there was so many effects on the plant. All the leaves were turning yellow. The tomato fruits were getting rotten. Some persons were like, when we spray this one, yes, you can spray your fungicide to prevent fungi or whatever like that. But you can only spray the fungicide. The fungicide would only help you prevent spread. At this point, it might not absolutely. It cannot. It's not magic. So it's not going to change the leaf automatically from yellow to green back automatically. So the fungicide will help you prevent spread. And when you actually restake the plant and this plant gets sunlight, the plant will try to heal up. The plant healing up in the process is to try to grow up and bring up new flowers. So when the plant brings up new flowers, it will quickly shed off the affected plants. And now how you can help the plant to quickly shed off the affected plant is by number one, you have to restake the plant, the tomato plant, stake it properly. Number two, you spray your fungicide often. This period, if you've been spraying your fungicide weekly, you might need to check the interval. Perhaps you spray twice in a week now. Then you support your plant with foliar fertilizer. Now this foliar fertilizer will help the plant to boost the plant up. It will boost the plant. Then the plant will be able to grow up and bring out new flowers, new leaves to shed off the old ones. That's the limit. Take note of that. You have to restake the tomato plant. When you restake the tomato plant, then you will spray your fungicide often, at least twice in a week now. Then you also spray your foliar fertilizer to help the plant to grow new leaf as often as fast as possible. Thereby it can drop off the affected leaf, which are the damaged leaves. Please take note. The same thing happens to pepper. At this point in time, when the rain is getting too much, some things happen. Most of the time, leaching will occur. As such, you'll be seeing some effects on your plants. Your effect on the plants such that you'll be seeing patches. One of the farms we visited, the problem we saw in that farm, when we got there, we found out that the plant was showing traits of magnesium deficiency in the pepper plant, even though the farmer does not know. But when we got there, we were able to diagnose that, okay, fine, this is the magnesium deficiency on this farm. And as such, because of the too much rainfall, it did not allow the plant to actually grow well. So in this case, what you need to do is you can use your cow mag. You apply cow mag to the plant, it will help the plant to actually bounce back and actually start producing for you. Most of the time, when these plants are exhibiting traits of deficiency, in terms of nitrogen deficiency, we have the magnesium deficiency, the potassium deficiency, the calcium deficiency, and the phosphorus. Phosphorus is not often, it doesn't occur often. Most of the time, these plants will not flower. It happens more in pepper farm. So people that have pepper farm, you find the pepper is growing well, it's very leafy, but there's no fruit on it. There's a particular deficiency in microelements that the plant is not getting. As such, it will not flower. And if it doesn't flower, it will not fruit. Most of the time, if it flowers, the flowers will abort. So please take note. These are some of the challenges that could happen to your pepper farm. If you are a pepper farmer and you have some of these things, or your family pepper is flower is growing fine and it has flower, but the flower is not turning to fruit, or the fruit is, some of them we have to get fruit, the fruit becomes very small and it's not grow bigger. There is a particular deficiency on the plant that you are not taking note of. As such, the plant will not fruit. So please take note. This period we are now, where we have too much rainfall, there will be tendency of nitrogen deficiency on the farm. Please take note. Nitrogen deficiency will be occurring often on the farm because of the fact too much water is actually sipping the water, and the water is actually sipping the nutrient, and the nutrient is percolating or being washed away. Thereby, it's not really available for the plant to use. This will happen. You will see the traits of this often now. Most farms that have the planted maize, because the rain is falling, yes, everybody is planting maize now. You have vast land of maize. You find that there will be a particular portion of your farm, the leaf of your maize will not be green. It will be leafy, but not green. It will be pale yellow, kind of. So now, in that case, nitrogen is deficient. Please take note. The only way you can go about that is we can actually support the plant by supplying nitrogen, either using your NPK or use your urea, as the case may be. And this period, if you are applying fertilizer to your farm, well, it might be tedious to those that have a vast land cultivated already, to apply fertilizer. Oftentimes, most of them are applying NPK to their maize farm, they just put it by the side. But this period that we are now, if you are doing that practice, I just want to tell you that you might be losing 50% of the fertilizer you're actually applying, because rain is falling almost every day. By the time you just put it by the side and rain falls, it's washed off most of the fertilizer. And now when it washed off, it washes down the slope of your farm. If there's any farm there, that farm will benefit in it. If there's no farm, it's the stream. You wash into the stream, and the stream takes the fertilizer away. And you know fertilizer is quite expensive at the moment now. You can't afford to lose the fertilizer you're buying. As such, it's advised that when you're applying the fertilizer, let the fertilizer be covered with soil. At least the fertilizer should be buried beside the plant, such that when the rain falls, it quickly dissolves into the plant. Even when there is no rain and there is heavy humidity, the fertilizer will not totally evaporate. Most of the time when you apply fertilizer by the side of the plant and you just leave it open like that, you lose 30% of the fertilizer to the atmosphere, and definitely you lose some to the soil, and what will left for your plant to use will be little. As such, you might not see the reaction as spontaneous as possible, or as you think, or as you expected from your plant. Thereby you'll be thinking the fertilizer is not good, or the fertilizer is not, maybe the fertilizer is bad or terrible like that. These are some of the things that happen most of the time. Even when your farm workers apply fertilizer for you and you tell them, you might come back and say that this thing is not changing, there's no response, there's this and that. Maybe you guys did not apply it very well, or you didn't even apply it at all. Oftentimes these are things that happen. They apply it, but if it's not well applied, you will lose 70% of the fertilizer to the atmosphere due to runoff or whatever will happen. Then the remaining 30% that will be gone into the soil will also take part of the fertilizer. Then what will left for your plants to use will be small. As such, the plants would not respond to the intake. So these are some of the challenges that we notice on different farms that we visited, that it's actually a big problem that we need farmers to take note of. Now we also visited cucumber farms. At the moment now, I know most cucumber farms might be having some shake on their farm. Shake on their farm in the sense that this period, we notice that due to the heavy rainfall in some parts, though some parts are complaining they're not having enough rainfall, but we all know that in Ibadan or your state we're having constant rainfall. We know in Lagos there's too much rain in Lagos at the moment, because throughout the day before yesterday, if you're in Lagos, you realize the fact that you cannot go out. Most persons in Lagos are complaining that they can't leave their house, that they are just, the water is everywhere. And imagine you have a farm and the place is waterlogged, just the way it's happening in Lagos now. What do you think that farm will be up to? Everything will be real. Most cucumber farmers now, if you are cultivating a particular variety of cucumber that does not like there's some cucumber variety that does not like too much water, as such, your cucumber will be having challenges with downy mildew, which most persons will think downy mildew. Maybe you buy some seed and the seed will tell you they will tell you that it has high resistance to downy mildew. True, we have most cucumber seeds today that have high resistance to downy mildew, but the fact remains that when the rain is too much, the attack becomes severe. As such, the plant itself does not have a way of shaking it off. Most cucumber farms now, all their leaves are turning yellow, and that's the challenge we are having now. There's some cucumber farms we visited. In fact, it was a bad story, in a sense that nobody will cultivate this variety. But what happens to that variety that cannot withstand it? The possible way we think we have now that we can use to control this is you have to spray your fungicide as often as possible, thereby helping this plant to shake off this effect to some extent, even though they can't shake it off totally, as long as there's continuous rainfall. But if we have rainfall continuously and we could have cassava, take note, because the cassava will start rotting in the ground when the water is too much. That's another problem for cassava too. Like we said today,